Good afternoon. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convened at a regular board meeting on Monday, February the 10th, 2020, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center located at 10,300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy of the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of the meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV Online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. If you haven't done that, please go ahead and do it. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize our community leadership members who are in attendance, and they are Denicia Smithwick. Denicia, would you stand? Am I saying it? Dancia? Danica. 3 times, I'm gonna get it. Did I get Smithwick right? Okay, good. Stacy Anderson, Francis Romero, and April Henshaw. Thank y'all very much for being here. In addition, we have Boy Scouts in attendance tonight. Boys, if y'all will stand, we have Clay Beischer. Clay, and he's at 1296. What school are you from, Clay? Aragon? Is that what you said? Right? Good. And Miguel DeLuna. Miguel, you're Troop 120, and where are you from? Thigh Lakes. Thank y'all for being here. The invocation for tonight's board meeting will be given by Jeffrey Mucko, Senior Pastor of Epiphany Lutheran Church. Pastor Mucko and his wife Sonia have 2 children, Sierra 14 and Logan 11, who attend school at Epiphany Lutheran. Pastor Mucko loves being a pastor as it allows him many opportunities to share and instruct others about Christ through sermons, teaching, and one-on-one relationships. Thank you, Pastor Mucko, for we appreciate you being here this evening. Before the invocation, I would like to introduce the AFJROTC cadets who will be presenting the colors this evening. Our cadets are from Langham Creek High School. They are Cadet Alexa Zavala on right rifle, Cadet Abigail Brecker carrying the American flag, Cadet Patrick Brannon carrying the Texas flag, and Cadet Sky Shin on the left rifle. Our cadets this evening are under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force retired Paul K. Marks. At this time, I would like to, At this time, I would like to ask you to stand for the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
We bow our heads. Dear Lord, you tell us in the New Testament book of James that you provide wisdom to those who simply ask you for it. Well, now we ask for your wisdom as you help this group appreciate the task for which they have been brought together to lead the way for building 21st century global leaders. Help them not be defensive regarding differences of opinion, especially with those thoughts and ideas that are very dear and near to our hearts and souls. Encourage them to remember that the differences of opinion in this room are simply opportunities to better strengthen their own ideas and be better prepared to handle objections in the future. Help all who are here to always be able to differentiate the ideas from the individual so that they can love one another and work with one another in joy. Enable this group to find ways to use all their collected and individual skills and experiences to solve the many challenges and opportunities before them. And allow the school board to faithfully serve our diverse community and provide excellent educational opportunities for all students and their families. And above all, keep our many loved ones close and safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Hutz, Ford, Gary, others. Forward, Art. Honor guard, Wolf, Enter, Ace. These ends, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. I, Ace. Forward, Art.
You may be seated. Board member Gilbert Sarabia will read the district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of the audience.
Our vision at CFISD is formed from an acronym: Lead to Learn, Empower, Achieve, Dream, Lead. Our mission is to maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
Thank you, Ms. Sarabia. We'll now proceed with the recognition portions of the agenda. Dr. Henry?
Thank you, Mr. Covey. Board of Trustees, on January 30th, approximately 600 students and community members enjoyed various foods made by potential CFISD vendors at the annual food tasting event at the Berry Center. These vendors provided input on new products available for school lunches and breakfast. Visitors toured the various booths in the conference center, then provided feedback on each item by filling out an evaluation sheet. The theme of the event was Lone Star State. Dance teams from 12 CFISD high schools showcased their talents at the 2020 CFISD Dance Show-Offs on January 23rd at the Berry Center. Each dance team performed 2 routines at the event, which kicked off with a performance by the all-district dance team. Dancers gave solo and ensemble performances. The community showcase featured approximately 580 participants district-wide. CFISD teamed up with the City of Houston Health Department's C to Succeed program for a 5th consecutive year, providing free comprehensive exams and eyewear to approximately 1,500 students from January 13th through the 17th at the Berry Center. CFISD collaborated with the program to provide lunch and transportation to the Berry Center for free eye exams and eyewear. The C to Succeed program partners include the Houston Health Department, University of Houston, San Jacinto College, Berkeley Eye Center, Eisler Vision Foundation, One Sight, public and private schools, as well as community volunteers from across the Houston area. The Cypress Woods High School boys and girls swim teams claimed the District 18 6A championship for the fourth year in a row, while the Cy-Fair High School girls and Bridgeland High School boys teams won the District 17 6A titles. The meets were held January 24th and 25th at the CFISD Natatorium. We're proud to announce 2 new principals that have been selected. At this time, I'll turn it over to Roy Garcia for introductions.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Covey and members of the board, we are always excited when we can introduce to you new principals and to the CFISD community as well. We do have 2 principals that we will introduce tonight, and we will begin with our new principal for Holbrook Elementary School, Mrs. Becky Mendez. It's okay to clap now. I'll share a little information about Ms. Mendez and then give her an opportunity to say a few words and to introduce any family and friends she has in the audience as well. Becky received her Bachelor of Science from the University of Houston and her Master of Education from Lamar University. She has 15 years of experience as an educator, all in CFISD. She served as a teacher, special education liaison, and instructional specialist at Joel Elementary School for 8 years. In 2013, Becky was selected as an assistant principal at Postma Elementary School. She also served as a summer school principal at Duryea, McPhee, and Andre Elementary Schools. Becky has completed the Aspiring Principals Institute, is a member of the new administrator training cadre, and has served as a mentor for new assistant principals. She enjoys catching up on old movies, reading, and camping with her family. Becky and her husband, Carl, who is an assistant principal at Langham Creek High School, have 3 children. Joshua, who attends Texas A&M University Kingsville, studying communications. Caleb, who is completing his basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and plans to attend Airborne and Ranger schools. And their daughter, Abigail, is a 3rd grader at Copeland Elementary who enjoys swimming, and I quote, telling her family what to do. Please join me in congratulating Becky on her new leadership assignment.
President Covey, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry, I want to thank you for the honor and privilege it is to serve the Holbrook community. I have been there a total of 10 days, and each day I fall more and more in love with the school, with the students that are committed to excellence and really are committed to the belief that opportunity starts with us. And we want to continue that tradition of excellence. I could not do what I do without the support of my family. And y'all, I have an amazing family. So my husband, Carl, we will celebrate 25 years in July. That's a tremendous feat on his part. That he has stuck with me through thick and thin. He has believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. He's encouraged me. He's pushed me. He's told me the truth when no one else necessarily would have the nerve to. And so he is my partner in life, and I love him to death. Abigail is here. Joshua's professors wouldn't let him come, and Caleb's drill sergeant didn't think this was all that important right now. So our boys are with us in thought, but Abby's here. My mother-in-law, Frances, who puts my daughter on the school bus every morning, gets breakfast for her, meets her at the door so that I don't have mom guilt. So I appreciate her support. My brother-in-law, Eric, and sister-in-law, Innocence, and then my nephew, Micah, they are always just a phone call away anytime I need anything. The administrative team from Holbrook who has welcomed me, y'all, they work hard. They have been there through thick and thin, and many of them travel an hour one way. And so that's a commitment to the students and staff there. And then, of course, I have some of my friends and family from Postma who are here for me. Cy-Fair ISD does a phenomenal job of preparing leaders, and I am a result of that foundation of leadership development. And so I want to thank you for the investment that you have put in me, and I look forward to paying it forward to the Holbrook community for many years to come.
Thank you, Becky. Our next announcement is for our new principal at Dean Middle School, Mr. Hong Pham. Hong received his Bachelor of Science in Political Science from Texas A&M University and his Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Stephen F. Austin State University. Pham has 24 years of experience in the education profession. He taught in Alief ISD at Alief Hastings High School, where he was selected as Teacher of the Year. He joined Cypress-Fairbanks in 2000 as an economics and government teacher at Cypress Springs High School. He also served as an assistant principal at Cypress Springs and Cypress Lakes High School for 9 years. He most recently served as the associate principal at Cypress Lakes High School. He has completed the Aspiring Principals Institute, the Rice University Executive Education Program, and serves on the CFISD Leadership Development Continuum Committee. Hong also served as a summer school principal at Kayla Middle School. He enjoys playing golf, traveling, and gorging himself on crawfish and steaks with his family. He has 2 daughters, Sky, who is a senior at Cypress Woods High School, and Belle, who is a sophomore at Cypress Woods. And just a little side note, what a special day. Today is his birthday.
Leadership has been defined as the ability to take a vision and turn it into a reality. So I want to thank Mr. Covey and the school board, as well as Dr. Henry, for taking that vision and allowing me to achieve a dream of becoming the principal at Dean Middle School. I'm honored and excited to join the Mustang family and taking that first step into the next great big adventure. It does take a village for a guy like me, so I brought the village along, also known as my family. First person I wanted to introduce is my mom. I told her to stand up and tell everybody that I'm the best looking of the 10 kids. She didn't listen. My mom has made every sacrifice known to mankind, probably, to pick up her family from Vietnam and make that long journey across the Pacific Ocean over here, leaving everything behind, so that we could achieve that dream down the road. And amazingly, all 10 kids did that, and it's all because of her, so thank you, Mom. So the rest of the family, I'm gonna start at the end and move forward this way. Julie, my sister-in-law, with her daughter, Abigail. My youngest brother, Vit. My oldest sister, Twit, and her husband, Thumb. My other sister, Nwit. Daughters, Belle and Sky. My nephew, Tommy. Nephew, Yui, and his wife, Ann, and his 2 kids, Hudson and Scarlett. I don't have any friends. What has happened over the years, at every stop along the journey, those friends have become family. So I want to introduce the families that have developed and I've built over the years and have meant so much to the person I've become today. First of all, my Cy Springs family. So Carol, Jean, Jennifer, Heidi, who else? Anna over at Cy Springs, thank you very much. My Cy Lakes family, I see Kim, Shava the Saddler, instead of Shaba the Hutt, Heather, Sandra, Ozzy, Jay, Shari, who am I missing? And Linda, I'm so sorry, you were mixed in with the Cy Springs family, my Cy Lakes family, and most importantly, the principal, Sarah Hardy. She's been the driving force behind my career all these years, so thank you. All the good things I'm gonna do in the future is owed to you. All the bad things, it's gonna be Janka's fault. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the leadership team of Roy Garcia, Sharon McKay, and reluctantly Travis Fanning for their investment over the years in me. So, like Becky said, as part of the Holbrook family moving forward, we're gonna pay it forward to y'all. Thank you.
So if the principalship doesn't work out, you can always do stand-up. I've got a thing. We're going to take about a 7-minute break so we can, those of you that don't want to stay for this illustrious meeting can go home. Principals, you have to stay. You don't have a choice. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're going to go out and congratulate the ones, and y'all are welcome to leave if you need to. Okay, we will now proceed to public comments. Tonight, we did not have anybody that signed up for public comments, so we'll move on to board comments. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any students, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this meeting. Board members, I'm starting with the outside. Gilbert, do you have anything?
I was fortunate enough to visit a couple of elementary schools and saw the challenges that our principals face, and their dedication to their staff and their children and students took my breath away. One principal deals with a revolving enrollment and where she's at, but yet had almost half a dozen retired CFISD teachers there working on behalf of her staff. And you could see the dedication that they did, and I was just astounded. That was Danish. And then I went to Millsap, which is one of our older elementaries, as you all know. And the principal there was just outstanding, dealing with, awaiting some renovations that's gonna come between the two bonds, recent bonds, and they're gonna just get it done at one time. And how she makes do with what she had, and kind of from the flood, repercussions from the flood there in the area and stuff. But she is full force after everything, not taking anything for granted, and her staff, trying to get through the obstacles. What I saw in both campuses was just the dedication of both principals and their staff. And again, I keep saying I'm so proud of everybody, and I keep going to different places. And just what you just heard there, that was had my handkerchief out again. I'm sorry about that. And if I ever forget another thing, for that group that comes on Thursdays and sits through our regular meeting, I want to say thank you, because you guys are always supportive. I know it takes a little bit extra. You all do an outstanding job, and thank you, because I always forget to thank you at the end of the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cinnamon?
I have 2 more school visits to complete. They were rescheduled from the first semester, so after those 2, I'll be finished with my visits for the year. But it's been a very busy month of the first month of 2020, participating and enjoying all the many activities that are going on in our district all the time. I actually find myself having FOMO, because I can't, the fear of missing out, because I can't go to everything, because there's always something going on every night, just in case you didn't know. There's always something going on every night, on the weekend, between athletics, academics, CTE, fine arts. There's so much going on in our district, and I wish I could attend all of it. But what I see everywhere I go are students enjoying themselves, developing new skills, achieving their goals, and I'm just so proud of all the many opportunities that we offer for our students.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
A characteristic of a premier organization is one that continually reinvests in its employees, and that's a trademark of Cy-Fair. As we welcomed 2 new principals tonight, which makes 7 just for this school year. That doesn't happen by accident, so a tip of the hat to Roy Garcia and his team, but also to the superintendent, who makes certain all of this happens. We have to have individuals trained and motivated who can step in at a moment's notice. and y'all have done a superb job. Since the last board meeting, I've made numerous stops on behalf of the district, some but not all. I attended the Horizon Showcase, as well as the ceremony to honor our recognized National Merit students. Each of these showcased the top 2% of our students in their respective categories, highlighting the fusion of talent, creativity, and grit. This past weekend, I attended the JROTC President's Competition, which was held at the Berry Center. I counted at least 7 different school districts represented, in addition to all 8 of our units, as well as the district livestock show and auction and the Educational Foundation. Salute to our heroes. In addition to being on hand to congratulate not 1, but 12 new Eagle Scouts this weekend, all of whom attend or have graduated from Cy-Fair schools. I strongly support the mission of the JROTC at all 8 of our units. Am well aware of the commitment this district makes, both in terms of space, but also in terms of the instructors as well as the support. Both them as well as the FFA, they teach life lessons that are not easily learned in the classroom, and they're building quality citizens of today as well as tomorrow. I can't say enough about our foundation, which is continually raising scholarship dollars for our students. And of course, if you haven't been, you need to go, because the speaker is always traditionally inspirational. I passed the 125th school visit mark, the most recent of which was at Campbell, which was featuring blended classrooms as well as flipped classrooms. Truly remarkable. Last Thursday, we had a very special presentation, and I urged senior management to prepare a cogent business strategy and consider the elements that were presented that evening. At a chamber event I attended, Representative Dr. Tom Oliverson reminded us that TRS prescription drug costs, currently $500 million a year, may double or even triple in the near future. I wonder if a discussion on the viability of health savings accounts or a similar device for the benefit of all employees would be appropriate at some point in time. And tonight I tip my hat to our military instructors, our FFA teachers, and to our students who combine talent and grit to pursue success at the highest of levels.
Thank you, Tom. Dr. Ogletree.
Thank you, Bob. On February 1st through the 4th, I, along with Bob, had the pleasure of attending the NSBA's Equity Symposium and the Advocacy Institute in our nation's capital. I was really impressed with the presentations during the Equity Symposium and the need for it to move and be activated in the various school districts across this country. And the equity emphasis in public education, it really focuses up on making sure that every student succeeds, not just in school but in life, and it to realize that the goal is to have every student be given the resources, supports, interventions based on his or her needs. The NSBA defines it as we affirm in our actions that each student can, will, and shall learn. We recognize that based on factors including but not limited to disability, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, students are deprived of equitable educational opportunities. And educational equity is the intentional allocation of resources, instruction, opportunities according to the need, requiring that discriminatory practices, prejudices, beliefs be identified and eradicated. The drive in equity is to look at what institutional barriers may exist in an public educational system to eliminate those so that equity and it can be established and every student receive the education that the student needs. The focus is upon meeting each individual student's needs, not just the school itself, but the individual student's needs. I had a great presentation from the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, and they gave out their steps toward equity, achieving it, and making sure that that is spread throughout the school districts in Pennsylvania. And I looked and saw that TEA also has an equity focus and plan, not as extensive as what we were presented in DC, but I really think it's something that we should look at to, as our goal already is opportunity for all, and to further this belief that we have stated that every student can learn. And I believe it'll help us to close some gaps and as well as get our disciplinary referrals under in the target area that we've been trying to go in. While there, I had the pleasure of being invited. It just happened at the same time, and the time really worked out real well for. I was invited to attend the Congressional Black Caucus's Leadership Summit at the invitation of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Houston, and it gave me an opportunity to speak to several congressional representatives, including Honorable James Clyburn, Honorable Eddie Benice Johnson, and the Honorable Al Green, and the Honorable Bobby Scott, who leads the caucus's educational initiative. I also had the privilege of speaking with Senators Cory Booker and Senator Kamala Harris, both former presidential candidates. And I had the distinct privilege, Congresswoman Lee asked me to speak to the over 1,000 attendees of the Leadership Summit and give a plug for public education, and I was able to do that. And then she further honored me by asking me to be her guest at the State of the Union address this past Tuesday, and which I accepted and was privileged to be in the House chamber there with all the representatives of democracy in one room, both houses of Congress, the Supreme Court, the President and Vice President, and the Cabinet, and it was great. I even attended the reception in the Raven Building before the event happened, and of course the address had some pluses and some minuses, a lot to pray over, but I was really thought it was a blessing and a privilege to be there, and I'll always treasure my time in DC.
Well, since the last meeting, I had the privilege to visit with Dr. Karen Stockton and her staff over at Post Elementary and see all the exciting things going on over there. I think that one of the things I enjoyed most was visiting pre-K classes and seeing those beautiful, bright faces, so involved in classroom learning and watching it happen. Also attended the National Merit Scholarship Recognition, and I congratulate all of our Cy-Fair ISD students who were privileged to be recognized, and one of them I knew was Allie Heineman, Julie's daughter, and that was really exciting. Also, as most of you know, I'm very involved with our Cypress ISD Livestock Show, and that's the reason I missed the meeting on Thursday night. My granddaughter was showing us deer and heifer, but I just want to congratulate Denise Quebeca, her CTE staff, and ag teachers on a successful show and sell. I wish that everyone would come out to see and experience our FFA students and see them in their happy place. They work almost all year for these 3 days. And these students are some of the most well-behaved and respectful students that you will find. FFA instills many great characteristics in our students. As I listened to Thursday night's meeting this morning, so I'd be prepared to vote tonight, and I listened to Mr. Gumbert's report on charter schools, I was wondering if there are any charter schools in our state that have an opportunity for agricultural students. It seems that most that I see are geared towards STEM students. We offer welding, culinary arts, drafting, ag, just to name a few. And we are preparing students in public schools to be well-rounded graduates with many opportunities, not just a few. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not congratulate all the students who made the show successful and my grandkids, Brooke and Brandon. I'm going to take a grandmother or granny moment here and brag a little bit. But our oldest granddaughter, Brooke, is her senior year and was her final show, since she'll be graduating in May from Cypress Ranch. Brooke had reserve champion heifer, grand champion heifer showmanship, and reserve champion hog. Brandon is a freshman, and he placed ninth with his brothers and had a beautiful farmhouse table and benches he had built that he exhibited with the ag mechanic projects. FFA is a big part of their lives and has been a big part of our family's lives since my sons were in high school at Cyfair High School. And this program develops responsibility, accountability, and leadership in our students. But most of all, it has offered opportunity for all of our students. And finally, thank you to the John Fox Chamber Herd, who through the generosity of businesses and members of our community raised a record $17,000 this year and purchased the projects of 26 students. The John Fox Chamber Herd has been raising money to purchase livestock projects at the district livestock show for 25 years now. And a big thank you to our community for supporting our ag students as they do. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, the board does nothing while we're not in the board meetings, so there's very little going on. But I will tell you that I did have the opportunity to attend the Equity Symposium and the Advocacy Institute. This is the 5th time I've been able to go to it. It was pretty amazing in that I think there were around 1,200 people across the U.S. that are trustees. They're up there to talk to each of their representatives and senators. And Texas had the largest group that they've ever had, which over 90 trustees do we have up there. And I understand that we saw all but 3 of the senators and representatives from Texas. I will also tell you and share kind of what I'd consider a negative statement, and that was the Deputy Secretary of Education came to make his presentation, and in front of all these trustees, he told us how American schools are failing, which wasn't, I don't think he knew the audience he was talking to. And then he talked about the education freedom, which you probably heard the other night. But the education freedom is just another word for vouchers, and it's also another word for taking taxpayer money and giving it to entities that don't have the same transparency and the same accountability. So I am adamantly against that. I can tell you that all the trustees that I talked to are against it. And this is the time to start looking to vote. So I would check into what whoever you're looking to vote for and see what their stance is on it. But that is coming up. And I'm going to tell you right now, we don't need the negativity against public education. I think us educating all children, and if you take and you try to compare us to other countries that are not educating all children like we are, it's not apples to apples. So that's one of my biggest complaints. And the last thing I want to tell you is Cypress-Fairbanks, and you know I'm the art guy, so Cypress-Fairbanks High School Madrigal or Chamber Choir, they're called the Singers, won the Madrigal contest last year in San Antonio for the state. And this year, because they won, they get to go back and they get to present. They get to put on a show for all of the other choirs. If you're interested, on February the 27th, they will be doing their show at Cyfair High School. And I'm going to tell you, if you get a chance to go listen to these kids, they're amazing. But I'm very proud of this group. So I think we're through. Thank you very much. Y'all still awake out there? Okay. Next, we have citizen participation. Patrons who have been duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern, interest to the district, other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. The board may not act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. Tonight, I believe we have a few speakers, and the first one up is Richard Martin. Now, Richard, you've been up here before, so you know how the lights work, right? When the green starts, then you've got a total of 3 minutes.
Well,
and
since we didn't have the speakers for the community, I get 4 minutes.
Oh. And then at 30 seconds before the yellow light comes on, and then when the red light comes on, try to sum up, please.
Sure. President Covey, Dr. Henry, Board of Trustees, my name is Richard Martin, President of the Cyfair TSTA NEA Local. We advocate for great public schools for all students. I would like to introduce you tonight to our executive board. Would you please stand? Don't be shy, come on. Donna Lord is our Vice President and MAT Chair. Beatrice Durandu is our Treasurer. Channing Dial is our Secretary. Ashley Langone is Communications. Tracy Talbert is our Membership Chair. And Randy Johnson, whom you all know, is our State Advisor. And you can sit down now, thank you. We are looking forward to continue working with Cyfair School District and its board members in creating great public schools for all students and staff. Thank you. I had a minute left, but I'll give it to somebody else.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Donna Lord. Donna? Oh, there you go.
How much time do I have?
3 minutes. And-
Okay.
Oh, 2. I'm sorry. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Ready?
Yep.
All right, good evening. My name is Donald Lord, and I am representing Cyfair TSTA NEA. I'm also a taxpayer and an employee of the district. Tonight, I'd like to address the recent change in time limits for the citizens' participation portion of the board meetings. A change was made by the board, reducing the time limit from 3 minutes to 2 minutes recently per person. 2 minutes is not enough time for our stakeholders to get their point across. It's difficult in 2 minutes for even people who are well-versed in public speaking to get their point across. Neighboring districts, such as Alief and Klein, allow 5 minutes. Spring Branch, 4 minutes. Tomball, Spring, HISD, and Katy all allow 3 minutes. Yet Cyfair reduced it to 2. Your stakeholders have supported this board through the last 2 major bond elections. They've placed their trust in you to represent them. We're certain that you don't want to silence their voices. Therefore, we're asking the board to reconsider your position and go back to 3 minutes. This will give your stakeholders time to get their point across, to have their voices heard, And it'll also give you the opportunity to fully understand their needs. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight, and I also want to thank you for all the service that you do for our community. Good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. Patsy Gillum.
Thank you, Patsy Gillum, and I'm on the board with the ICENC Foundation for Safe Police Response. Ms. Holly had passed out some papers earlier to you. We work with the National Association of Mentally Ill in the law enforcement community here in Harris County. The point is to have law enforcement and citizen encounters end as safely as they possibly can. Crisis intervention training is all about de-escalating a situation. It's a 40-hour course that many law officers have already taken. I'd like to encourage the board and the superintendent to work together on mandating that every officer who serves anywhere on the campuses from elementary through the high schools to have the 40 hours of CIT training, not only for the students' sakes, but also for anybody coming into the school who may need a de-escalation situation as opposed to escalating a situation into violence. You'll see before you a study that was made by the Medders Mental Health Policy. It is an older study. It was done in 2015, so it is 5 years old. They took an account of how many students in Harris County had some form of mental health problems. And there's 810,000 youth, and there's 310,000 that have some form of mental health. That's close to 40% of the students. And that's just the students. That's not the parents who come in, that's not the teachers who go through whatever they go through, nor is it the uninvited guests who come in. So I highly encourage the board to seriously consider mandating the CIT training for all law enforcement that serve our students and our employees. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I do have extra, if y'all would like the same handout, I have them. Thank you very much.
Okay, item 5A and 5B of the reports portion of the agenda were presented at the board work session on Thursday, February the 6th, 2020. And now under item 5C, the administration will provide a report on the progress of the 2014-2019 bond programs. The board will now proceed. Oh, sorry, go ahead. We've got the presentation and you're in charge.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Covey, trustees, and community. We're proud to present this evening, and it'll be a relatively lengthy report on the bond program progress from the 14 bond and the 19 bond. And I can tell you, and I saw this statistic today, and it really shocked me. That did you know that 1 out of every 10 children in the United States lives in the state of Texas? And then of that number, 1 out of every 50 public school children in the state of Texas attend a Cyfair school. So when you think about that number, you can see how many children that we are educating here in our schools in Cyfair ISD. The update that I'm going to give you today, if you look up on your screen right there, you can see the bond 2014, and you can see just below it bond 2019. So if you'll look in the right corner of every page as we go through this, you can see which bond program that it relates to, and then some of them that will be crossover. You'll see both of them there, but it just helps you keep straight which bond program we are talking about. The next slide, if we could roll that forward, please. And you can see the breakdown of the 2014 summary and where the money was spent. And I want you to concentrate there on the yellowish orange looking color there where it says safety and security enhancements, and then flip it over to the next slide to 2019. That is really if the only major difference from the 14 to the 19 program. All of the other areas, if you look at the pie graph, you will see that we spent money basically in the same areas percentage-wise, except safety and security, where we increased the percentage for 2019. Something that I'm really proud of is that all the way back to 2011, Cy-Fair ISD was addressing safety and security. In fact, as you see a lot of the laws that were passed in this last legislative session, Cy-Fair ISD was already doing many of those things. And in fact, it was amazing as we went through the governor's checklist, Cy-Fair ISD had already completed most of that. So we're proud to be ahead of the curve there, and we appreciate the community helping us continue to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to safety and security. An interesting fact, as you look at those pie graphs and just kind of go back and forth between those, the 14 and 19, you can see facilities renovations and additions is the biggest part of the pie graph, and that's where we spend the majority of the money in those bond programs because, as this board knows, but maybe the community doesn't know, is we're trying to maintain over 18 million square feet. And that requires constant renovation work throughout our 91 campuses and also numerous facilities. So just to keep up with that, you always like to think you take a look at your house, and periodically you have to do things to make sure that your house is kept up. And we want to make sure that we take care of the taxpayers' investments and make sure that all of our campuses are not only we keep them up, but also that we have equal opportunities across the district by constantly renovating our older facilities to make them as new as possible and give all of our students equal access to great facilities. One of the things that I'm most proud of also in the 14 bond, and even going back further than that, is some of the efficient use of design plans that we've used throughout Cy-Fair ISD to stretch the dollars. Many parts of our district that were supposed to be renovated, we've been able to replace instead, just because of the very efficient use of the dollars that we have available, and also some of the earnings on interest that we've made from those bond dollars. Lastly, I would say that when we went to the community and to our employees about the 2014 bond program, we said it was a 6-year program. The 19 bond program was the same. You cannot physically or fiscally do $1.2 billion worth of work in 1 year, nor can you do $1.7 billion in 1 year. So it stretches out over 6 years, both programs. In fact, we're still working with dollars from the 2014 bond program, and we'll continue to do that through next year. So you'll see that as we go through this process. So we've got a relatively lengthy presentation this evening, but I think it will be something that will be of great interest to everyone. And so I'm going to hand it off to Matt Morgan to kick us off. Let me just add one thing. If the board doesn't mind, if you would kind of write your questions down so we can just go straight through it and then address all of your questions at the end of the presentation.
Good evening, President Kofi, members of the board, Dr. Henry. I'm pleased to be able to present the facilities portion of the 2014-2019 bond presentation. I'm happy to announce, as you know, Dr. Henry mentioned that the 2014 bond was a 6-year bond. We are on schedule. We will complete Phase 5 this summer with the completion of the Hamilton Middle School renovation and the Liebide Middle School renovation. Phase 6, we'll also complete most of that this summer as well, with the exception of Elementary 57 and 58, which are scheduled to open as per PASA in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Just kind of want to highlight some of the projects that we've completed in the 14 bond. We'll start with some of the new facilities. We completed Hoover Elementary, Wells Elementary School, Matsky Elementary School, the natatorium, and the renovation of Pridgeon Stadium. And I'm happy to see that I got to see Dr. Henry. I think you were the first person that dove off the diving board at the natatorium. I think I still have that video. Well, we can't really afford that much water. I'm just joking. I'm just joking, sir.
Go ahead and drop that mic, Matt.
We also completed the West Green Ag and Transportation Centers. We also did a lot of major renovations, and I believe in speaking with Mr. Sprague, since 1998, we've included major renovations in our bond programs, and that's to bring some of our older campuses up to current program standards. We've also renovated the facade so that it looks fresh, so just we can have equity throughout the district. We completed Bain Elementary School. It's part of the 14 bond, and Adam Elementary School is part of the 14 bond. We also did Watkins Middle School and completed that project. We currently have Rowe Middle School under construction, and it is on schedule and ready. It will be ready to open in August of 2020. We also just recently completed the Leonard Brodigan Center. It opened in August of 2018. It's a beautiful facility. And we also completed work, artificial turf and tracks at our high schools. And as you know, artificial turf can be very expensive, and we want the competition tracks to be ready for our high school athletes. But Dr. Henry has been very big on community access to our facilities. So we are renovating all the middle school tracks, and so that in providing the community access to the middle school tracks. And we've completed 11 of those. We've got 7 more to go. Before Dr. Henry asks, I'll tell you which ones those are. That's his favorite question when he gets me in a meeting. We've got Hamilton Middle School's track, which will be completed August of 2020. Hopper, Kayla, Salyards, and Smith will be completed by December of 2020. And we'll be bringing a package to the board more in April to start construction and renovation at Blyle and Campbell, and that will include their tracks, and those should be completed in 2021, depending on the phasing schedule. We also completed security enhancements, video buzzers, video cameras and buzzers, lockdown panic buttons, emergency call stations, radio communication towers, and also secure vestibules with bullet-resistant glass. So this is the remainder of the Phase 6. Let me explain how to read the chart just a little bit, because there's going to be quite a few more. We've broken out the renovations, and all the renovations are listed at the bottom, but any larger project I broke out separately with a bar graph, so you can know. And the beginning of the bar represents start of design. The end of the bar with the star and the date indicates the projected substantial completion. I also want to note that on these phasing charts that they're subject to change. It depends on programming needs. It depends on the availability of contractors. If there are special projects that Dr. Henry wants moved, we will adjust these phasing charts. But the Phase 6, most of the Phase 6 work, the renovations will be completed in August of 2020. Most of this work is very small scope. As I mentioned earlier, Elementary 57 is projected to open in August of 2022, and Elementary 58 is projected to open in August of 2023. As we started working on the 2019 bond, we still had some schools in Phase 6 of the 14 that had significant renovations. And as we developed the recommendations that we were taking to the bond steering committee, it became apparent that we were about to start renovations on a campus and potentially, should the bond pass, go in and tear out some of the work that we'd just done. So what we decided to do was combine 14-19 scope, which was mentioned, Millsap was one of those schools. What that allowed us to do is get greater economies of scale, so we can do a more significant renovation. But I think more importantly, we're only going to interrupt those campuses once during this bond. I didn't want to go into a campus and do a small renovation, come back 2 or 3 years later, inconvenience that campus, and do another renovation. So in the combined 14-19 work, this will include the security for open concept classrooms, classroom additions, additional card readers on exterior doors, additional impact-resistant glass, classroom phones, the security fencing, and furniture replacements. We were able to get furniture replacements included, so every campus that had not had a furniture replacement since 2014 was included in the 2019 bond. Just to give you an idea, we were talking about, this is a 3D rendering of what a MILSAP classroom will look like. During the security audit or the recommendation to the board or the bond committee, we were going to segment our open concept classrooms, and what that means is we were going to create pods of 4 to 8 classrooms. And it would still be sort of an open concept, but they will be able to it creates corridors and they can secure their doors. There will be intruder lock sets on each doors. Each classroom will have a classroom phone and additional lockdown buttons. And this also represents some of the new furniture that we're looking at as well. Also, Dr. Henry we started working on safety and security, I think we've always worked on safety and security, but it became even more important or an emphasis on it back in 2018. So as part of the 19 bond, we included security fencing. Dr. Henry wanted us to get started as quickly as possible so we could provide security for our kids. So we began grouping schools together and we created a district-wide security fencing project. We've already completed Group 1. We completed that in November of 19, and we'll be complete with the other groups, or Group 5, by October of 2020. And just to note that the schools that are included in the district-wide security fencing project are the schools that are in the later phases of the 19 bond schedule. Schools that were in the first phases 1 and 2, we're going to include that fencing in the project. I didn't want the other schools to have to wait 4, 5, 6 years to get their fencing. And if you've driven by some of our schools, the fencing is really attractive. It is 6-foot ornamental black fencing. There are card access gates next to the buildings so that the teachers can use their ID cards to get in and out during school hours, but we can also remotely unlock those so that our community has access to our playgrounds after hours and on weekends. So the 2019 bond is also a 6-phase. We're putting the projects in 6 phase. We've already started design on the phase 1, and we'll complete phase 6, projected to completion August 2027 with all the renovations and new facilities. Phase 1 includes renovations. It also includes baseball and softball turf renovations and dugouts, and those will be complete in August of 2020. We are doing, for the first, we've divided the athletic fields over the first 3 years of the bond. The first summer, we'll be doing Cy Falls, Cy Ridge High School, and Cy Ranch. And at Cy Ranch and Cy Ridge, we're increasing the seating capacity for softball so that we can have regional tournaments, and playoffs. I think we're increasing that to about 875 average seats for each field. At Cy Falls and Cy Woods, we're increasing the capacity of the baseball seating. And we're going to increase that to about 1,420 seats. That's projected right now. Athletics wanted to be able to have locations in different parts of the district geographically to where we could host these events. We're also...
Just a reminder that because of the size of Cy-Fair ISD, we're in 2 athletic districts now. And so we wanted to have competition size areas on both sides of the district because of that.
We'll also be starting the high school band tower replacements, and we should complete that by August of 2020, and renovation at the exhibit center and the science resource center, and then furniture replacements. And in general, for the most part, furniture replacements will be included in the renovations, but we had some schools that we've completed the renovations on last summer, and again, I didn't want those schools to have to wait until the end of the bond to get their furniture replacements, so at Cook, Hamilton, Thornton, and Langham Creek, we'll do furniture replacements this summer. Phase 2, the renovations should be complete in August of 2023. Again, we'll do baseball and softball renovations at Cy Creek, Cy Lakes, Jersey Village, and Langham Creek. We'll also include the new administration building and the Visual Performing Arts Center, and we've already started programming on both. We've had over almost 30 meetings with the ISC staff to do programming and identify needs for the new administration building, and the projected substantial completion for both of those facilities is August of 2022. We'll also start the new transportation center and the Brodigan Center Kate additions. In phase 3, renovations will be complete by August of 2024. The baseball and softball renovations, this will be the last year, includes Bridgeland, Cy Park, and Cy Springs. We'll also include the Ben Bradley expansion, the Cy-Fair multi-complex renovation, and the Cy-Fair High School, and the repurpose of ISC West. So just from clarification on the multi-campus site renovation, that includes the drainage for that site. It will impact Cy-Fair High School, Lampkin, and Arnold for drainage. Also, the roadways and reorientation of the athletic fields. It's a significant project. For phase 4, the renovations will be complete by August of 2025. And currently, PASA projects Elementary 59, a need for that to be complete by August of 2024, and Middle School 20 by August of 2024 as well. We've already started design on Middle School 20, and we are prepared to move that up should it be required. For phase 5, mostly renovations in phase 5 with the substantial completion of August of 2026, and the support service storage with a substantial completion date of August 2024. And then we finish with phase 6, and again, mostly renovations, some pretty significant renovations, substantial completion of August 2027, and the repurpose of Winford High School projected August of 2026. I'm going to pass the clicker to Mr. Powell to update you on transportation.
Good evening. For the transportation portion, the 2014 bond included the new West Green Transportation Center that's located in the southwest portion of the school district that was completed at the end of 2016. We also installed GPS on all of our school buses that enabled us to track the location of our school buses, employ telematics to increase repair efficiencies, and it enabled us to account for our students and alert our parents when students get on and off the school bus. It also provided for the purchase of 436 new school buses for the growth and replacement. This also allowed us to reinstate transportation services to all students that live within the 2 miles of their home campus. For the 2019 bond, the Long Range Planning Committee included another new transportation center to be located at the northwest portion of the school district, 467 new school buses for growth and replacement, and the upgrade of our current GPS hardware from V3s to V4s due to the industry phasing out the V3 hardware. The Long Range Planning Committee also included a police vehicle replacement schedule, as you see here. Phase 1 included the purchase of 27 vehicles. This purchase has been completed. No vehicles are scheduled to be replaced in phases 2 or 6 of the bond project, but we have 31 vehicles to replace in phase 3, 13 vehicles in phase 4, and 13 vehicles in phase 5. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Paula Ross, Assistant Superintendent of Technology and Information Services.
Good evening. Let me begin by stating that each of the Technology Services Bond 2014 projects have been marked at 100% completion. The first area that I would like to highlight is our wireless network. Wireless networks have quickly become the primary way users and devices connect today. With Bond 2014, Technology Services installed a high-speed wireless infrastructure that provides connectivity for greater than 400,000 wireless devices. These calculations were based upon a maximum of 3 devices per student or employee, including devices such as laptops, tablets, phones, and/or wearable devices. Depending upon the type of device, there are 3 separate wireless networks available. CFISD-CP provides connectivity for district-owned devices. CFISD-BYOT, or Bring Your Own Technology, provides connectivity for non-district-owned devices. And CFISD Visitor provides secured wireless access for our visitors. Technology Services has deployed and supports almost 10,000 wireless access points, providing both indoor and outdoor coverage at every campus and administrative site. Next, I would like to highlight our network infrastructure. The Consortium for School Networking, or COSN, is an association which promotes the partnership and awareness of emerging technologies in K-12 education. The CFISD network was designed based upon COSN's Smart Education Network by Design. The network design provided a shift from an older network design model to a more modern, resilient, flexible network that will support the increasing demands of teaching and learning. The design includes 2 core data centers, one data center at ISC and the second data center at CyrusOne, a co-location facility. Upgraded campus and administrative site switching and routing, district hub connectivity design, providing fiber connectivity to both data centers with hubs geographically distributed throughout the district, designed to provide connectivity to our second data center at a co-location facility. Increased internet and data center firewall protection. This next portion of the bond was dedicated to upgrading network cabling, fiber optic connectivity, power in our network closets located at campuses, service centers, hubs, and data centers to improve access and provide for faster connectivity. Cat 6A cabling was installed at all sites to provide increased data transmission rates for our wireless network. Hub fiber was designed to help to reduce site outages by providing fiber connectivity to both data centers. The network design also included geographically diverse fiber entry points into each campus or site with the goal to provide and maintain network connectivity. This section also began to address the need for adequate power and air conditioning in all of our network closets. With Bond 2019, we will continue to improve and increase our environmental support for almost 500 network closets, providing connectivity at our campuses and administrative sites. Assessments are critical over the life cycle of a data center facility because technology is constantly being upgraded. There is a need to periodically evaluate the most effective way of delivering power, cooling, and telecommunications over the course of a data center's usable life. Bond 2014 provided us the ability to upgrade or modernize the ISC data center with improved power, cooling, rack space, UPS, and generator backup. In conjunction with the data center upgrade, Technology Services also embarked upon a server virtualization project that brought a positive transformation in areas such as reduced hardware cost, improved server provisioning and deployment, better disaster recovery, efficient and economic use of energy, and increased staff productivity. Lastly, many organizations are partnering with co-location providers to support growth and limit costs rather than expanding their own data centers. Our second data center is at CyrusOne and enables Cyfair to place our Tier 1 applications, such as finance and gradebook, in a specifically designed and highly secure data center without space, technology, or connectivity constraints. Technology Services upgraded the older analog phone system with a voice over internet protocol system. This upgrade has taken place over several phases over the course of the past 4 years, with the last phase completed this fall in 2019. The completion of this project positioned us to meet the new requirements of Senate Bill 11, stating that district employees have classroom access to a telephone. Enterprise Desktop Management was installed to manage the configuring and patching of almost 60,000 staff and student Windows and Mac devices. This tool allows for better policy management and distribution of 400+ software packages to our students and teachers. Administrative devices were also completed on a 5-year rotating basis. With Bond 2019, Technology Services plans to maintain and enhance our network infrastructure. But since cybersecurity incidents seem to be growing exponentially, all projects will be conducted with a cybersecurity focus. Our team is ahead of most districts in that we have a cybersecurity specialist on staff, and we are already working to establish reasonable protective measures such as routine patching of software and removing obsolete hardware and software, training and educating our staff on security awareness, inventory refresh of all hardware and software, planning for protective measures such as cyber vault technology for our backup environment. Our plan is to build a sustainable, long-range plan for cybersecurity. Our staff has collaborated with other districts around the state to create a cybersecurity template for our plan. Our goal is to present this cybersecurity plan to you later this spring. In closing, from a hardened security standpoint, Technology Services is joining forces with our Facilities Department to deploy phones in the classroom. We are currently conducting a pilot for phones in the classroom at the new Leonard Brodigan Center, with plans to expand the pilot to a high school, middle school, and elementary school this spring. Next, I would like to turn the presentation over to Becky Cook, Director of Instructional Technology.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to provide you with an update on the 2014 bond funds that we used to purchase instructional technology, and give you a quick overview of planned Phase 1 purchases with the 2019 bond funds for instructional technology. As you may recall, the 2014 bond funds were planned for a 6-year period. In year 1, the primary focus was to get the network infrastructure upgraded to support the planned instructional technology purchases. The first year, only Woodard Elementary School and the U.S. History laptops were purchased. Starting in year 2 of the bond, purchases were made to support classroom technology and other projects. We are now in year 6 of the 6-year bond. I'm happy to report that we've expended approximately 80% of the planned bond purchases to date. Currently, we are planning the purchase of student mobile technology for secondary, which are the computer on wheels, which we lovingly call COWS, completing the library purchases, and planning for the opening of the new Rowe Middle School. We still have some new campuses to open with the 2014 bond funds. We have steadily been rolling out equipment by curriculum area. We chose to roll out the equipment for existing classrooms by curriculum areas so that the training would be focused on the new technology being integrated into the classroom. Currently, most of the classrooms in the district have received the standard classroom technology. The first picture, I know you guys always love pictures, right? So the first picture is a picture of a Thornton Middle School student using the Promethean panel to solve a math problem. The next picture over is a picture of a blended learning algebra classroom at Cypress Park High School. They are using the laptops in one of the learning studios to work collaboratively to solve math problems. The next picture is a student at Woodard Elementary School using the FlexCat pods to check in with his teacher and ask a question. The teacher was working with a group of students and was able to answer his question from her location back in the classroom. The last picture shows a Warner Elementary third grader using the HoverCam, which is a document camera, in his language arts classroom to show his work to his classmates. I would also like to draw your attention to the level of student engagement that you see in all the pictures. All elementary schools have received their CALs, 3 carts of 20 Chromebooks and 2 carts of 20 Windows laptops. We have fewer CALs now because teachers now have student classroom devices. The secondary CALs will be ordered and delivered this summer and spring, or spring and summer, sorry. The CALs typically mirror the student devices provided for each curriculum area. For example, middle school English language arts have Chromebooks, so the CAL for that curriculum area will also be Chromebooks. Middle school math has laptops, so their CAL will be laptops. This picture shows students at Dean Middle School taking advantage of the CALs to create a one-to-one learning environment. The students are engaged and focused on the learning at hand, which happens to be math. The high school labs project is currently 57% complete. The U.S. History one-to-one labs were purchased in the first year of the 2014 bond. Credit recovery labs are in the process of being replaced this spring, and also targeted for replacement are the CTE labs at each high school. The labs will be replaced starting this spring, with completion slated for summer 2020. The library project is well underway. We are currently 75% deployed at all campuses. The libraries have received their Promethean panels, portable light speed sound systems, CALs, teacher laptops, and circulation equipment. Still left to purchase are robotics equipment for checkout, touchscreen monitors, and other creative collaborative equipment for students to utilize. The expected completion of the library project is summer 2020. All special campuses, ALC East, ALC West, Carpenter Center, Carlton Center, and Brodingham Center have received 100% of the equipment from the bond package. The campuses mirror what traditional campuses have in each classroom. The libraries are a hub for learning for students, and with the addition of technology tools such as laptops, Chromebooks, and Promethean panels, students are able to access a wide variety of resources. Many students use the library technology tools to complete assignments, do research, or collaborate on projects, as demonstrated in these photos by students from Cypress Springs High School. In phase 1 of the 2019 bond, planned replacements include some of the classroom technology at Woodard Elementary, which, remember, was the first campus to receive equipment from the 2014 bond. So we have a 5-year replacement cycle. The student devices for the U.S. History classrooms, and the Chromebook and laptop cows at all the elementary campuses. New initiatives that will begin in phase 1 are additional technology for special education classrooms, flex space technology, a new sound system for all elementary school PE classrooms, and wireless display connectivity in the classrooms. The wireless display connectivity will allow teachers to become completely untethered from their Promethean panel and still be able to walk around the room and project from their laptop from anywhere in the classroom. The teachers have asked for this, and we've made it a priority to look for a solution in phase 1. And now I'll pass it to Karen Smith, Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening. Good evening. Since this is a bond, just a moment there. Since this is a bond update for the 2014-2019 bond authorizations, included on this slide are bonds that were issued as of the time the voters approved the 2014 bond referendum. As you will see, all of the 2004 and 2007 bond authorizations have been issued. In October of 2019, the district sold $158.8 million of the 2014 bond authorization, leaving $56.6 million of unissued bonds. The district also issued $287 million of the 2019 bond authorization at the same time. The district anticipates issuing the remainder of the 2014 bond authorization and approximately $300 million of the 2019 bond authorization in October of 2020. We expect to issue the remainder of the 2019 bond authorization in increments of $300 million annually. Although taxpayers were told the $1.2 billion bond authorization could result in a tax increase or an increase in the debt service tax rate of 4.5 cents, the actual debt service tax rate decreased by 1 penny in tax year 2014. The maximum to potential debt service tax rate increase for the 2019 bond authorization over a 7-year period is 3 cents. The projected tax rate in 2014 and 2019 included the current authorization taken to the voters, as well as selling the remainder of the unissued bond authorizations. So, for example, with the 2019 bond authorization, we had to take into consideration the tax rate associated with the 2019 bond authorization and anything that was left unissued in the 2014 bond authorization. You will see here that the maximum projected tax increase on a $200,000 home would be $40.50. There will be no tax increase for those 65 and older. Some of the assumptions considered when estimating the impact of the bond authorization taken to the voters are property value increases, tax collection rates, bond interest rates, the underlying bond ratings, and then bond maturities. As you will see here on this slide, it reflects the bond maturities for instructional technology of 5 years, infrastructure technology of 10 years, buses of 12 to 15 years, and new facilities, renovations, and additions of 25 years. Therefore, to emphasize, the district would not be financing computers over 25 years, but instead over a period of time of 5 years. I would also like to highlight that we are very conservative when we are estimating and modeling these assumptions that can impact the tax rate. We do not take into consideration things such as bond refundings, maybe issuing variable rate bonds, and interest on invested debt service revenues. This slide encompasses the total tax rate history since the voters approved the 2014 bond referendum through the current tax year. As you can see, the total tax rate was decreased 1 penny in tax year 2014 and 7 pennies in tax year 2019. Now I will turn it over to Ms. Leslie Francis to discuss bond communication.
Thank you, Karen. A detailed and strategic communication plan ensures our team stays on target with all of the district's communication needs. We especially understand the importance of sharing with the community how taxpayer dollars are used for bond projects. We accomplish this primarily through photos and videos posted on social media and the district website. You may notice on our bond communication schedule that each week something is posted regarding Bond 2014 or Bond 2019. Items in white are Facebook photo albums, gold are videos, and blue and purple are written communication and presentations such as tonight's. In addition to the traditional methods of taking photos of bond projects, we are reaping the benefits of the Multi-Vista camera system. This system is installed at each construction site and allows us to access photos remotely through the construction process. On this slide, you can see several examples of Facebook photo albums, including Hamilton Middle School renovations, the construction of Rowe Middle School, and campus security fencing. Based on the number of Facebook likes, our community really appreciates these photo updates. Security fencing was recently installed at 11 of our campuses, many of which shared existing fencing with neighborhoods. These campuses distributed the letter on the screen to their parents and community. The letter indicated that installation of security fencing was a result of listening to the concerns of community members and that any inconveniences to the public would be far outweighed by increased safety for our students and staff. We also include bond messages in local publications as part of our district's marketing plan. The ad you see on the screen was a thank you to the community and highlights several bond projects. This particular ad appeared in 135,000 community impact newspapers in October. www.cfisd.net/bond is a section on the district website dedicated to information and updates from all bond referendums. Following the passage of the 2019 bond referendum, election and voting information was removed and the content was refocused on project updates. Tonight's presentation will be added to this section. In addition to weekly photo albums, we also want to provide the community with monthly video updates. These videos are all less than 3 minutes long, which enable them to be viewed and easily shared on social media. Topics this year have included the natatorium, gyms and tracks, the Brodigan Center, cybersecurity, and campus security fencing. At this time, I'd like to share the fencing video with you.
We have always wanted our community to utilize our playgrounds and open areas after school hours and on weekends. However, after some of the recent events that have occurred around the country, we listened to our parents and our schools and are adding fencing to our elementary playgrounds and portable buildings. This video shows you how we are balancing student safety with community access.
In addition, we are providing security fencing for our portable buildings too, so that guests or visitors to the campus have to go through the front office, check in, go through the proper security screenings before they're allowed access to the children.
The fencing provides that layer of security as one of the many steps that we've added into our schools through the last couple of bonds. And so the fencing helps set the perimeter and helps keep our kids safe.
There may be some minor inconveniences, particularly for schools that have residential fences adjacent to the playgrounds. But our position is that minor inconveniences are far outweighed by the additional security that we can provide for our students. During the day, the perimeter will be secured. There will be card access gates closer to the building that will be locked during school hours.
After hours and on weekends, come out and enjoy our facilities. They'll be open for you.
This concludes the 2014 and 2019 bond update. We would be glad to take questions or comments at this time.
I'm sure we're gonna have a few. So let's start, Mr. Jackson, you wanna start us off? Are you ready, or?
Well, the short answer is I'm not quite ready yet, but you know me, I can always talk.
Okay.
So as long as you don't mind if you come back to me.
I'll do that.
Okay, very good.
Ms. Blacksher, you got anything? Help yourself.
I guess the first one would be directed to Mr. Morgan. What kind of renovations are we looking at for Rennell and Wells, since they are fairly new campuses, particularly Wells?
For Rennell and Wells, we still have to implement all the security items.
Okay.
So as opposed, like we did in the 14 bond where we went and did district-wide projects, we are doing all the security implementation. It'll be the additional impact-resistant glass, the segmentation of open concept classrooms.
Okay.
We're all doing that all at once. So that's, when you see the newer schools, it's more than likely the security items.
Okay, because I've toured both of those campuses, and as I recall, Rennell, that we needed some doors between hallways that could make the classrooms more secure. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and one more question for you before you leave. Middle school number 20, refresh my memory. Is that on the Bridgelands Wells side, or is it somewhere else?
Middle school 20 is on the Bridgeland well side.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And then my third question, I guess it could be for you too, Matt.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Do we already have a site for the new transportation center? Do we already have property, or are we at an existing location, or are we going to have to purchase property for that site?
We've already purchased property for that site.
Okay.
So we have a site for it.
Can you share with us where that's located yet?
I'm gonna let Mr. Sprague answer that one.
Right now, our current plans is to locate it on our Dunham Point track that we
okay.
purchased, which is just south of 290.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Heineman?
Okay, oh, don't leave. Come back. Can you also refresh for us where of elementary school number 57 and 58 will be?
57 is going to be in, correct me if I'm wrong, Roy, but it's gonna be in Bridgeland, and 58, we're still deciding as to where that's gonna be. It
Okay.
could be on the far southwest side, or it could be Dunham Point as well.
Okay, so we're gonna wait and see where we need those
We're gonna wait and
schools
see what the
based
passing
upon
report tells us.
population
Yes,
growth.
ma'am.
Okay, that sounds good. That was my answer, my question. Sorry.
It's okay.
One comment I wanted to make about instructional technology. When you see the new initiatives that Becky talked about, flex space technology, that was really, I just want to share, that was really driven by the students on the long-range planning committee. Those students really spoke up about how they use those flex spaces in our high schools and our middle schools, and how that they were really needing additional technology in those spaces. So I thought that was just great to see their voices were heard, and we're going to provide those tools that they were asking for. And same with the wireless displays in the classrooms. That really came from the teachers that participated in our long-range planning committee.
Yes, it did.
So I was glad for that. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate making the comment about the bond maturity matching the life cycle of the asset. I think there is some confusion sometimes in our community about, you know, a $1.76 billion, how long are we going to be paying for that? But because the bonds mature with the life cycle of the assets, those are paid off sooner than, and not bought all at the same time. So I appreciate you sharing that. Karen, sorry.
It's all right.
Okay. My last comment is just thank you for the project updates on the website. Our communications team has done a fantastic job, and I meant to say that too when I was talking about FOMO. The communications department does such a good job taking photographs and sharing that with the community through Twitter and Facebook and on the website. It really keeps everybody informed, and so that's just a great resource to keep everybody updated. So thank you.
Mr. Sarabia, you have anything?
Having served on the Long Range Planning Committee and now seeing everything come to be, it's very exciting for me. It's a first time for me. I'm like, we talked about that. Oh, look at that. And so just like Julie said, it's a very exciting time for me. It's a great presentation. Congratulations to all of you guys. Very well done, very well presented and stuff. So I'm just excited for the community and the district and moving forward. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Dr. Ogletree?
Yeah, great report. Thanks for the update. Matt, I recently visited Goodson, and I don't see them on here for the renovations, but the front of that entryway and doing some other changes in there, is that not on the list there of any future renovations?
I would have to go back and check the bond sheets, and I can get back to you on that. Dan, do you recall Goodson, what the scope is for Goodson?
I think the scope is minor in nature, but I know that Rich Dixon has brought up some special items that he needs or is requesting to be addressed at the campus at the front, but we'll see if we can take care of them.
Okay. And to the fencing, I'm really excited about the fencing. The messaging, though, on the fencing is that, hey, we're putting up fencing and to provide security, but hey, we're glad to open up our schools for your use. So the fencing will provide further community use, or is there going to be a special code to enter on the weekends?
No, sir, we'll be able to unlock the doors remotely. So after school hours, those card readers will be disengaged and the gates will open. And
Okay.
same thing for weekends. It'll be on a timer. So we want the community to have access.
Just one caveat to that, Dr. Ogletree. One of the reasons we wanted to have the middle school tracks is because of the expensive nature of the turf at our high schools. Those facilities will be locked at all times. The public will not have access to those, but again, that's to protect the asset of the track and the turf. But we've got more middle schools than high schools, so the walking tracks will be, there'll be more available.
And Dr. Ogletree, just to clarify, Goodson is listed in Phase 4, so they will be getting a renovation, and I can get you the actual scope of that renovation. I'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jackson?
And for a change, none of these are original questions, but those that I've received from the public over the past month. I'm going to have to stop going certain places because I get so many questions. For the middle school tracks, any number of people have come to me to say, hey, these guys are locked up. So is that part of the process that eventually they'll start being unlocked on the weekends?
The middle school tracks, immediately after substantial completion, should be unlocked. If we're experiencing a challenge at the school, if they will just let us know, we'll make sure. Sometimes a general contractor may lock it up, and we'll make sure we get out there and unlock them. But the message is, and to my staff, the coaches, and administration is, once that is turned over to the campus, the use of the track is for public use, and they should be unlocked.
And what my answer has always been is, one, we're under construction, but two, if you have a question, contact the principal or AP at that particular school.
Yes, sir.
On technology, just last week, a question I got, I'm going to have to stop going to seminars, I guess. how do we know that our technology dollars are enhancing academic attainment?
Achieving academic attainment in a digital educational environment is dependent upon reliable access to computer networks. And I know that our textbooks are digital. More and more of our computer systems and applications are web-based, that software systems that students are using. So it's very important that we maintain that connectivity so that they can achieve academic attainment.
So part of what I hear in what you're saying is students need to pick up a skill from a digital perspective, and that skill is not necessarily tested on STAR testing, but it is a skill that these students will need for the future.
That is true.
And so more than just academic attainment, they're actually acquiring a skill that will carry them forth.
That is true.
Is that a good way to look
That is
at
a
it?
good statement, yes.
Just to add to that, I would say that a lot of the online resources we have are what you and I probably got through a textbook. So I would say all of those resources are nothing more than tools for a professional teacher to use and to work with students to enhance their education. So it's just, you know, we're just kind of changing into that digital age, or we already have changed into that digital age, and that's a tool that our students, as you put it, need to learn how to use, and it's also a tool that's available to our professional teachers to help our students.
What do we expect the life of our data centers to be?
Prior to 2014, I started with the district in 1999, and the data center expanded over years, which got us to the point where we were in 2014, where we needed intense measures to update the data center. But the typical life of a data center is probably 10 to 15 years.
And do we have a way, I already know the answer to this, but it's a question that has to be answered. Do we have a way to constantly evaluate the health and vitality of these data centers?
We undergo several measures. We have a contract with an outside company who helped us upgrade the data center, and they come in and perform regular maintenance and test the infrastructure, whether it be the power, the UPS, generator, that type of environment. So they perform annual tests for us.
In addition, as it relates to the data center, but throughout the district, the more you use technology and it works, and I've been thrilled, the last 20 school visits I've been on, it's working every school, doesn't matter how old it is, doesn't matter what corner that classroom happens to be in, whether it's embedded in the center or on the far outside, it's working everywhere. That's the good news. But the more you use it, the more you want to use it. So I know that the initial analysis said 3 devices, but of course we know that a device has different capacity and different usages, and more often I see the Prometheans as they're being used, now they're, instead of being static, it's a streaming component which just gobbles up more usage. Are we able to identify when we start to reach capacity constraints?
We are monitoring the data and bandwidth for the fiber connectivity to campuses. And with that, we are anticipating the additional videos with the Promethean boards, and we are monitoring that and expanding. Part of that was the fiber connectivity expansion to the campuses to provide greater throughput for that.
One of the fun things about the Prometheans, one of our middle schools at Horizon Showcase, they had embedded different touch points on the Promethean to illustrate their project. And so it was completely touch sensitive throughout the entire project, which took you different pathways. And to think that middle school students were using technology in such a fashion was a thrill to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, a couple of wrap-up points for you. You and I both know what completed contract accounting is all about. So we measure dollars being spent in one hand, but in the other hand, we're measuring progress completion. So overall, dollars don't always match up to progress completion.
That's correct.
But in general, if we take a look at the big picture, are we pretty much on target matching up dollars spent with progress completion? Or do we have some holes that have opened up that can be addressed in different ways?
I mean, we're pretty much on target. I mean, where we'll see it sometimes really is towards the end of the fiscal year, where we're trying to reconcile that information between the amount of money we spend and the percentage of completion of those projects. But overall, we are, and we actually have, we're able to monitor it through the information we get turned in when they do their monthly draws or their monthly draws on those particular projects. And we are actually reviewing, as well as the facilities department is reviewing that percentage of completion for accuracy in the dollars there.
And we aren't seeing any soft spots pop up that are not manageable?
No.
Something that you did not mention, you did talk about the total amount of the bonds. You did not touch on interest rates. Are the interest rates associated with the bonds that have been sold, are they still staying within the broad parameters?
Yes, in fact, interest rates have been at record lows. And to where we were looking at more at 4 and 5%. Now we're seeing some 3% come in there. And what they do is over the different years out there, the 25 years out, there'll be some 5% bonds, some 4% bonds, and some 3% bonds. But we're at record lows on those percentage rates. And so we feel very comfortable with that.
Overall, I'd like to say excellent presentation. Of the short time period that I've been on the board, this is the best bond update, but more than that, and my colleague, Ms. Heineman, pointed out, the videos that are posted on the website are absolutely superb. The data is in fact being made available, and we have transparency for anybody who wants to take the time to know how the money is being spent. So Mark, a tip of the hat to you and the rest of the team for understanding it's okay to live in a glass house. It's okay for everybody to see what we're doing, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Paula, could I ask you a question? Okay, I appreciate what you have said about having connectivity all over the district. And so I'm going to throw two at you. And one of them I just learned this last weekend, and I mentioned it Thursday night, and that is the onset of the 5G that is going to possibly affect us in the future. And what they were referring to were simply the microphones, like what I'm speaking through right now, that's going to have to be adjusted. Are we starting to address that already?
The 5G technology is more cellular based, and it's slightly different from the Wi-Fi wireless technology that we support in our classrooms.
Okay. Now, this is going to be a negative,
Okay.
but every year when we go to graduation, we have trouble connecting with anything at the Berry Center. Have y'all looked at that again to try to work that where honestly, we get tired of being around each other. We want to get on our phones. So I'm just kidding, no. But we do try to get out and try to connect with people. And so have we addressed that?
That's the first I've heard of, maybe it's a limitation issue with the number of users at the Berry Center, but we can certainly look at
That might
that.
be because of graduation and there's
It is-
10,000 people there.
It's
that could be-
designed to
yeah.
support it's considered a large public venue, so it's
Yeah.
designed to support several hundred connections, but we can definitely look at that.
Just curious, since you were up there, I thought I'd ask the
Sure.
question.
Sure.
But all in all, this is a great report. I appreciate all of this, y'all. Thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have something else? No. You're okay? Okay, the board will now proceed with the consensus action items portion of the agenda. Action item 6A, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. 6B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the January 16th, 2020 regular board meeting. The following non-consent action items were moved to consent during the board work session on Thursday, February the 6th. 7B, the board will consider approving the budget amendments for a period of October the 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. 7C, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 1, BE local board meetings revise. 2, CDA local other revenues investments revise. 3, CH local purchasing and acquisition revise. 7D, the board will consider approving on second reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 1, CKC local safety program risk management emergency plans revise. 2, CKE local safety program risk management security personnel revise. 3, EHBAF local special education video audio monitoring revise. 4, FFAA local wellness and health services physical examinations revise. 5, FFB local student welfare crisis intervention an add. 6, FFBA local crisis intervention trauma informed care an add. 7, FL local student records revise. 8, GBAA local information access requests for information revise. 9, GRA local relations and governmental entities state and local government authorities revise. 7E, the board will consider a waiver for full-day pre-kindergarten for the 2019-2020 school year and any pre-kindergarten partnership proposals with private providers for the 2019-2020 school year. 7F, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and/or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. 1, CFISD metal detectors. 2, cyber recovery vault. 7G, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractor and authorize a superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contract as follows. Number 1, 2019 Keith, Lowry, McPhee, Pope, and Rennell Elementary School renovations. 7H, the board will consider approving a site lease agreement with Crown Castle for the installment of a cell tower at Cypress Ranch High School and authorize a superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms and conditions and execute all documents. May I have a motion to approve the consent items as listed or amended?
Mr. President, I move that we approve all the recommended consensus items.
Motion by Ms. Blackshear. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Any questions or concern?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of follow-up questions as it relates to the item for the 2019 renovations for Keith, Lowry, McPhee, Pope, and Rennell. May I go ahead and proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Roy, we met after Thursday, and I had a number of follow-up questions. You've done a superb job in answering these questions in written format. You've also provided a plot plan. And this, the questions related to Lowry Elementary as to where the retention or detention pond was going to be located. Was it behind the school, on the side of the school? So if you would, review that once again. 2, identify why it needed to be placed where it was. 3, identify if there's any additional renovation to the building which will move the building out into an area, or if all the renovations are internal. 4, there are currently 4 trees, and they aren't overly big, but they're still attractive trees in the front. Whether or not those will remain, or if those have to be removed as part of the renovation itself. Discuss briefly what is the difference between a retention pond or a detention pond. The other question that we chatted about is, will water remain in this facility? And if so, will that become a potential breeding ground for mosquitoes, which I think is the state bird? Have we addressed a situation like this in the past where we do have standing water? Clearly, the high school where your children went and graduated, as did mine, has a very large open area which sometimes is used for lacrosse and soccer, but sometimes holds water as well. So those are the questions that we chatted about after last Thursday. I believe you've answered almost all of them here, but I'll give the floor to you.
Okay. During the design process of that project, it was determined because of Harris County flood control requirements, we would have to have detention. So the team looked at locations of where that detention should be located at. We did look at the back side of the property, or the east side of the property, where it kind of forms a triangle there. Unfortunately, that's more the high point of the property. And so based on the estimates of costs that were associated with locating it there, it would have cost the taxpayers approximately $200,000 more money to put it in that triangular piece compared to where we currently have it designed and located, which is on the northwest corner of the site near the front entry. The trees should not be impacted. We typically specify tree protection. Based on the design, it should be not impact those trees at this time, from what we can tell as part of the design process over there. As you know, we're doing, in addition to this campus, is to help facilitate the wall segmentation component of the security enhancements in our 2019 bond program, as well as bringing some of those classrooms up to the new standard of, per the state standard, minimum facility standards of 750 square feet per classroom. So that facilitated the addition to be located on the north side. We do not anticipate any further additions at this time at Lowry, so we feel where we have everything located is going to be final. I don't anticipate anything over the next 5+ years to have to be added beyond the 2019 bond program. In terms of retention, detention, it's always a confusing subject, but the easiest way to remember this is retention is we typically have to retain the water after a specific event for a period of time and have to control the outflow of that water from that retention pond into the downline streams of the ditches and pipes and so forth it drains to. Detention ponds pretty much hold the water during an event, but as soon as that event's over, we don't have to restrict the water anymore, and then it naturally flows downstream to the designated reservoirs where they're located. Langham Creek's a perfect example of a retention pond because we have pumps in there, and we do have to control the flow of discharge out of that pond to across the 529, I believe, to the south into that creek over there, because if we pumped it too fast, we would actually overburden the existing infrastructure downline. So that's the difference, the easiest way to explain retention versus detention. Typically in our detention ponds, the water should flow out. We make sure it drains out. We don't anticipate there being any kind of mosquito problem. The intent, if it's installed correctly, no water should sit in that pond for an extended period of time. And then if we have any low spots, either we come in and try to fill that to maintain the flow rates that we need in the pond, but also we could certainly come in and treat it with mosquito to address the mosquito issue. But our maintenance department does a great job in overseeing and maintaining the detention ponds that are under our responsibility as a school district. So I think I've covered all your questions there.
And one question that we chatted about Thursday after after the meeting that I want to bring up again. Will we have fencing around this area? We have elementary kids here.
Yes.
And this could be an attractive, what's known as an attractive nuisance. So what have you planned to
Yes,
address
we are
that?
planning ornamental fencing around the detention pond as well as around the perimeter of the site. And in the site plan we provided you, we've given you kind of a color designation of what type fencing we have located around the perimeter. But we'll have it around the overall perimeter of the site, but we'll also adding additional fencing to surround the detention pond that we have located on the site.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, thank you for allowing the additional
All right, we have a
time.
motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. 7A, the board will review and consider adoption of the revised board operating guidelines outlining the duties of the public officer. Just to bring you up to date, in January, we had a team of 8 training, and we did a review of the board operating procedures and guidelines. That is something you can see on the website if you want to look and see what we are going to agree to. And tonight I'm going to ask all of us here this formal meeting to sign the agreement for the board operating procedure. And you'll find it in, there should be an envelope there that's got it. And I would ask everybody to please go ahead and sign it, and we'll turn it in to Holly. I need a motion.
I move that the board authorize the execution of the revised board operating guidelines.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Heineman. All in favor? Are there any questions? Good, thank you. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, sign those little dudes. Okay, thank y'all. Now you're all on my bank account. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we are, I'm sorry, Dr. Henry. We have a briefing. Excuse me, Dr. Henry, I'm trying to cut you
That's all
short.
right. That's all
Okay.
right. I understand. You're not the first one. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Black History Month is a celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing the central roles and contributions of Black Americans to our country. Curriculum activities and cultural art programs will focus on the influence of Black history and its impact on the diversity of our nation and world. You can get insight into our district's history by learning about the early settlers of Independence Garden, currently known as the Carverdale community. We have a great video posted on our district website which tells their story and includes longtime community members sharing their memories. The Richard E. Berry Center will serve as host of the Region 3 6A Boys Basketball Tournament, March 5th through 7th, with the winner advancing to the UIL Basketball State Championships. For the 5th straight year, CFISD will host the UIL State Wrestling Tournament, February 21st and 22nd at the Berry Center. The 7th Annual Superintendent's Fun Run and Festival is scheduled for March 21st from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Berry Center. Registration is now open. Proceeds from the event will help fund scholarships and teacher development grants through the Cyfair Educational Foundation. Just a reminder to the community that February 17th is President's Day. It's a student holiday and a staff work day, and classes will resume on Tuesday, February 18th. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you all for coming. We are now adjourned.